while for a lot of them. Even the Supreme Court to hear anything might take a little while. So that's the uncertainty. But the nice thing is, for the most part, even when there's uncertainty, the charts usually give you a clue as to what's likely to happen.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have nothing to go on. We usually do see something. And I mean, we've been through this before with the uncertainty of the election, and we go back in time to the last election and kind of follow the charts there if you wanted to, and kind of get a clue as to what might happen. And honestly, they really kind of shrugged it off.
They have, yeah.
When you think about it, they didn't.
So I made a big mistake here, Brandon. I forgot to hit the live button. So there we go. You guys did miss quite a bit. It's me. It was my fault. Brandon's having internet issues. I'm having just, I guess, brain issues. Yeah. I forgot to hit the record button. You did miss something, Big Eb, and thank you guys for your patience. I was surprised nobody said, "Are we recording yet?" Gotta love it. So let me go back, Brandon, and ask you again. Now that we've done a warm-up show over here for everybody. Welcome to the Trader Merlin show for 2024. We're kicking things off with a bang of errors and mistakes today. Gotta love it. The beauty of doing things live. I'm happy to do it. That's fine. All right. Brandon Wendell is our guest today, as you can see over here. There he is. Hello. Hey, Brandon. Good to see you. My materials that we'll see if we get this one straight here as we go. My materials are going to be fairly simple for today, everybody. I'm going through and I'm going to ask a bunch of instructors. What are their, not instructors, traders. I keep saying instructors because it's just my DNA. What are their thoughts, outlooks, opinions, opportunities that they see happening in 2024. Our guest today is none other than Brandon Wendell, as you can see by our graphic here. And my first question to Brandon was, what is your biggest concern for 2024 as you go forward as a trader? So let's rewind, Brandon. What are your thoughts for 2024? Biggest issues, biggest challenge for you?
Okay, it's got to be the uncertainty with the election and, the contesting that is likely to follow after the election if certain parties don't win. It could be, I'm not picking a side here. I don't belong to either party, to be honest with you, but I think it's going to be one side. Whoever loses is going to cry foul, obviously. And there's been a precedent set for that happening. But like I said before, in our practice run, the markets kind of shrugged it off last time. And you take a look back at 2020 and I think we're a lot of that again. We're very, very overbought in the markets, but I think that there's still room to go to the upside. Obviously, we started selling off a bit today, but the markets love to give you clues anyway. If you know what to look for, there really shouldn't be too many big surprises. Even the so-called black swan events, the markets start to show you some indications as to which way they're leaning if you know how to read it properly.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing, I think, as we go forward into 2024. Is like, look, the market's going to throw us curveballs. That's what the market does every single year. It doesn't matter. At the end of the year, we can look back and go, oh, yeah, well, that was obvious to see. But at the time, it was a curveball. And I was talking on our pre-run that Brandon and I did. I think Brandon and I agree that probably the election is going to be one of the biggest factors of 2024. And my area, where I'd like to get the audience engaged here, let me know what you think. In the previous elections, at least all the ones that I've experienced in my life, have been after the election, one party complains, it was rigged or blah, 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 it doesn't matter, it was Democrat, Republican, it was this, that, the other, who cares, it's after the election. Because of the events that are unfolding with Supreme Courts in Colorado as well as Maine saying, hey, this candidate cannot run in our state, I think you're starting to polarize our population even more so, if that was possible, and creating more tension before the election. And I think that in at least in my opinion, is going to create more waves than normal leading up to it. But normally up to the election is kind of smooth sailing, and then the craziness happens, the week of the election. I think we're going to see it 2 to 3 months before the election. What do you think, Brandon? And audience?
I think it's very possible, yeah, as the Supreme Court is getting the cases pushed more towards them as they go through appellate court cases and things are turning and news comes out. I think we are going to see a lot more turmoil before the election, even to see, who's going to be on the eventual ballot on both sides, who's going to be available in the primaries. If somebody wins a primary, will they actually be in the final ticket? Mm-hmm. There's going to be that uncertainty, and the markets do not like uncertainty, and investors don't like uncertainty. And that'll lead to, kind of watch to see if people are putting on protection. Maybe you see some rises in puts on the S&P or even the futures to kind of hedge portfolio positions, or if you end up seeing the markets just get very choppy and volatility go up as well.
Yeah. But honestly, do you care? I mean, if volatility goes up for you and volatility is just another spelling for the word opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, 100%. It's opportunity. I don't care. I welcome the volatility. Obviously, as a trader, it doesn't matter up, down, as long as it's moving. That's what we need, our prices to be moving. And, there'll definitely be plenty of opportunities. It's just coming down to who is going to be able to read the price fastest and most accurate is going to win.
No. Well, you are predominantly a spread trader of futures. Is that correct?
Well, I do a lot of things. Yeah.
I don't want to pigeonhole you, but I know that I labeled you on the show as kind of, you have a specialty in spread trading of futures, but I know you trade quite a few different things.
Yeah, I do spreads on options every day on the SPX every day to just generate income. But yeah, I do a lot of spread trades on the futures and just futures trading in general.
Excellent. All right, my second question coming in here, and this is going to differ depending on who is the guest on the day, but it says, for Market Outlook 2024, what do you think will be the best and worst performing market segments? So, I didn't give you much time to prepare for those questions. My apologies. But, as we roll forward, we've seen some pretty big market moves and sector opportunities, whether you're trading just the ETFs or commodity markets. Last year was not a great year for energy, but the 2 years before that, monstrous up years. You had financials kind of been trending up for the past decade or so. Where do you think the opportunities are going to lie in 2024, and where do you think the scary parts are where they should avoid?
Well, I lost part of the question there because my internet, I don't know if it's yours or mine, it's cutting in and out. But as far as, overall markets, we saw the NASDAQ outperform pretty much everything last year. I mean, looking at from today, I've got a chart that I created. I could probably share with you if you want.
Yeah, we'll try. Yeah, it's not my internet. We're gonna have to get you a better internet, buddy.
I have very high speed internet, but we lost power today. I've been having issues. It's Florida.
No worries. It happens.
Anyway, I think you disabled the screen sharing.
We'll give that to you right now. Hold on a sec. I think I can. Let's go. Great. Now I can't. The screen share. Okay, now it's all yours. Sorry about that.
Let's see if I can do this.
Margaret says crypto and financials. Crypto, you think, is going to be the best market? Financials the worst? We shall see.
I don't know. Just looking at the equities themselves, this is what I was saying right here. Is the NASDAQ rallied up, and that's usually led by the tech industry. And I mean, we could break it down to see what actual pieces were there. But the one thing that bothers me is that there was such a divergence with the small caps. Mm-hmm. I don't care too much about the Dow because it's only 30 stocks. It's not really representing the economy, but those small caps are a problem that they were lagging. And I think that if you go to where the decline started, say right here, that's wrong line, wanted this. And it's not reacting. What's going on? There we go. You can see that when we declined from those highs in July, it was the small caps that were leading us. So if we start to turn to the downside because the bubble in the NASDAQ pops, I think small caps on the short side are going to take the hit. And they're representing more the intra-border. You got the multinational corporations in the NASDAQ, the ES, the large caps. But when you talk about the U.S. economy, the Russell really kind of holds it together and represents it. And that's a lot weaker. So I'm wondering if this all turns to the downside. If that goes down, obviously the Russell will be the better opportunity to the downside further and faster. As far as crypto, you're much more in tune with crypto than I am. I don't follow it nearly as much as you do, or even some of your followers. But I know there's been some great opportunities. I'm clicking over here to Bitcoin and I'm seeing, actually, wait a minute. This is a retest of a prior zone here, 46,000, isn't it?
Yep.
This is a weekly chart. Yep. So we're coming back up, but we got the big difference here. You can see in the past, in March of 22, we didn't have enough momentum to break through. I use the RSI here as a momentum indicator. And I'll skip through that. But now that we're approaching that weekly, you can see that we have plenty of momentum to push through that zone, but there's a divergence coming. So we're going to pull back, giving us some buying opportunities. I'm a buyer back here at about 37,000 to push through above 50.
Yeah,
I can definitely see this being an opportunity this year. And that's the grandfather of them all. Obviously, there's a lot of other coins out there. They're probably going to be better returns and better opportunities, but I'm not following all those. So
yeah, no, I get you. There's a lot of, and I think Bitcoin is kind of that benchmark that we're all kind of looking at anyway. I think I'm actually taking crypto out of the equation. I think it's a different market segment because I think it will be the one that outperforms everything this year, just because of the spot Bitcoin ETF and also the cycles that are out there. One thing I wanted to bring your attention to, not your attention, you know this, but when we look at the composition of some of these indexes. Now, you mentioned how there was that big discrepancy or big divergence between the NASDAQ and the Russell. I think that chart you had up showed the NASDAQ up 50% on what your scale was, and then the Russell was like 12%. Pretty big separation there between that upper right-hand chart. Pretty big separation. This is a weekly chart going back just for the year, and you've got the Russell's up 12.7, NASDAQ up 50.45%. Does it concern you that Apple and Microsoft are the ones that really have dragged this entire market segment up? And now, like today, for example, you had Apple down 3.7%. It's 7% of the S&P, and I think it's like almost 10% of the NASDAQ. Microsoft down 1.3 today. It's 7% of the S&P, and I think 9% of the NASDAQ 100. Those two things alone are what are really causing that whole NASDAQ rally. So it feels like the Russell 2000, I've got 2,000 companies in there that are nice and fairly balanced. There's a couple bigger ones in there, but no one's really dominating that index. Whereas the NASDAQ and the S&P, I've got two companies that are clearly dominating it, and to me, that's also a risk. If Apple should fall apart or if Microsoft should fall apart, then you're going to see that index there, that divergence close very quick.
I keep losing. I apologize. I think it is my internet, unfortunately, today.
It's okay. It happens.
But when you have the market being led by just a few big names, that's a problem. You need to have broad participation for a healthy market rally, and we're just not getting that. Whenever there's divergence, typically you get reversals of trends. And you can see when the NASDAQ diverges, and there's not necessarily a measurement that tells you exactly where it will reverse. But, right here, you can see did the Russell in green and the NASDAQ in burgundy there, the separation is greater now than it was when we turned down in July. So we're at that point that we should be changing in trend. And again, the move down typically is going to be greater on the small caps in this case than it is on the NASDAQ because, that's the leader to the upside. So they're the strong ones kind of holding on. But when that balloon pops, think of this as a lead weight tied to that balloon. That lead weight no longer has a balloon holding it. It's going to fall pretty freely. So you can see we dropped 740 percent there. And you can see the percentage drop is greater on the Russell than it was on the NASDAQ because, again, it's the leader down.
Right.
So, when those so-called leaders, like you said, the ones that are really in charge of the NASDAQ don't perform the way they have been, like was it Apple and Microsoft? Those are the big leaders. And, again, the market tells you when there's weakness coming in. This is Apple on a weekly chart. Now, there's still bullish pressure, but it's dying off. And for us to be making the highs that we just did, we needed to have more momentum to carry it through. So there's already these warning signs that Apple is not going to be able to sustain that movement. And let's see if it looks better or different on the daily here, if my internet allows today.
Yeah, it's been pretty fickle today.
Great earlier. It's only when I come to get near you, I think.
it's me. I'm a vortex of bad technology, apparently. You're still on the weekly. I can't even hear you.
It's not. It's cutting in and out. I apologize. This is really bad.
See, and I guess the lesson here, Brandon, is when you have a day like today where your internet's all faulty, what should you do?
Go play golf.
There you go. Yeah, don't trade people. If your internet's skipping like this, this is just a total rate. The good news is we're doing aftermarket analysis, so it's okay. It's just an inconvenience if it skips audio wise. But if you're trading, guys, go golf until your internet's fixed. All right.
Yeah, but I did do okay with the options specifically. But anyway, you can see, like I said, the market usually gives warnings. Here's a divergence. You can't continue to move in a particular trend direction without the momentum behind you. And I use the RSI as a momentum indicator. So I even said this morning in my tweets that I put out that in the morning we were going to have a small bounce before we go down. And that's exactly what we did. I tweeted about the ES, but you could have used it on pretty much any market. This did not go. But there's definitely weakness all the way around. And let's see if I go down to.
I mean, we're certainly off to a terrible start to 2024.
Put out there today. Well, and that's the worrying thing too, because a lot of people say how the first week of January goes, so goes the year.
Right.
I don't know if that's really true, but if
statistically, it actually is. Statistically, the numbers actually support that argument. Which is, we talk about that. We talk about the Santa Claus rally, which this year probably is not going to yield that 1.3% rate of return that it usually has. But hey, you go with the odds until they don't work for you. But Yeah, we'll see how January goes.
Yeah. This was actually, I'm sorry, I was referring to the 60-minute. Like I said, the market gives you plenty of warnings. So this morning when I put it on my tweet, I saw this before the market opened, which was a little bit earlier right there. We were moving down, but you can't really see the indicator, unfortunately, there. But the indicator was not making those new lows. So again, even in a downward trend, if you don't have the momentum, prices will pull back. And then I said we'd end up going down and make a new low by the end of the day. And of course, we did the same thing. We did it without momentum, so we pulled back. But that's what I'm seeing in the markets is there's overall weakness. However, every time we keep going down, for some reason, we end up coming right back up. We're not really ready for a big drop necessarily. But I do believe it's coming. And it may be what, like you said, when we get that uncertainty in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really tough to kind of put your finger on what exactly it's going to be. And, all we have is history and the historical statistical probabilities and then, what the charts are telling us at that moment in time. And, good question came through here. Where was that one? Damn it, where did it go? This is from Costa Economou. Says, are you going to close all your positions just before the elections in 2024? And if so, how far ahead of the election date will you do so? Is this one of those things where you're like, hey, I'm just sidestepping the election altogether, or are you going to stay in it, Brandon?
No, I ride it out. I mean, I have stops, and for the most part, the election's on a Tuesday, so it's not like futures are going to be closed. The margins will go up, but for the most part, I don't know if it'll be decided within 24 hours if we're going to drag it out again or what's going to happen, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem. And I would trade right up to the election anyway. As a matter of fact, with the volatility, if you go to, let's see, I'm not sure if I have it on here or not. I was going to say, you just look back at history.
Yeah.
That's one of the best ways. You were talking about statistical probabilities and historical probabilities. You look back and see what happened in the past. And, if you're not sure which way the markets are going to go, learn some options. You can actually play the verticals or like a straddle or strangle and play both directions and see, whichever one moves, you win. But yeah, obviously you got to time it right as well. You got to make sure that you put it on with low volatility. And that's what I was looking for was, let's see, do we have implied? I have it on my other platform. I don't know if I have.
As you look for it, let me read this one real quick because Margaret asked something similar. She says, do real professional traders on Wall Street sit on the sidelines when elections or other high volatility circumstances occur, or do they keep trading? They're trading. They have specific goals. Remember, the job of a trader for any institution, you and I are different because we don't always have to have our capital working. Institutions do. So they're always going to be moving that capital from one location to the other. Idle capital is a waste of money for these guys. So they're going to be constantly moving it around. So yeah, they are going to be trading those elections. As Brandon says, they could be hedging and going long one account, short the other. So when the news comes out, they can dump one side, but they'll have their feet in the markets. I won't be trading the election day as the announcement comes out. As the market closes on that Tuesday, I'll get a sense as to where things are going, and I may make a trade. But typically, what I'll be able to do is I'm going to wait till the after-hours session, and when that after-hours session hits, I hope. And this sounds bad. But I hope we get absolute chaos. I hope the market lock limits down like it did in 2016, and I am going to have all my bags empty so I can load the boat at the lock limit and play those bounces like I did in 2016, which is literally a freaking ATM. It was unbelievable. Only time I've ever seen that happen in my life. I want it to happen again. I'm begging for it to happen. Let's have controversy after the election. Let's do it. I'm greedy. Oh, sorry. I know. I
keep losing. I'm sorry.
No worries. You're doing fine. You're doing fine over there. All right. Okay. So you talk about overall market. When you look at these things, are you looking at? I know you love trade the indexes, but do you ever break it down and say, here's energy and healthcare and the financials and consumer staples? Do you ever break it down in that degree of detail and say, I'm much more optimistic on consumer staples right now versus financials? Is there one of those sectors you think might have a better year due to the whatever 2024 offers?
Yeah, I mean, I don't honestly trade that much on the individual sectors anymore. I used to when I looked at ETFs and traded the individual sectors that way. But honestly, I just try to keep it simple and just stay on the high level with the broad market. Less things for me to watch, less moving parts. Yeah. I did do a video once a week. I'm going to start doing that again for the new year for my Wendell effect, where I actually did track what was going on in individual sectors and getting an idea. I do follow. This is not working. Sorry.
It's all good.
I do follow sector rotation models, and with the sector rotation models, let me see if I go to. I don't think I'm sharing anymore anyway. So let me see.
Not now, no.
It's really frustrating. Yeah. But if you go out to stockcharts.com, they show you under some of their free charts the sector rotation, which there it is. And this holds true. So, this is showing us from March of last year to January, 200 days. And you can see that, going, what was it here? Energy had that big boom you were talking about earlier, and that sector was, gangbusters. And typically when that's the leading sector, that's right here. You see, that's leading near a market peak.
Yep. Exactly.
So that was suggesting that if we do start that big market turn down, that we should start to see consumer staples, healthcare, and utilities, kind of the flight to safety, if you will, be the better sectors. So yeah, I keep an eye on that, more for understanding where the big picture is going to go. And you can see now, if we just take a look, let's say the last 6 months, it doesn't show a good picture of sector rotation. It almost looks like a market bottom in a way, where financials and real estate are kind of leading us off the lows, with consumer services a little bit higher as well. That would put us in a recession, which we're obviously not right now. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of weird with the sector rotation not really following through, trying to guess which markets are going to be performing really, really well going forward. So again, there's a lot of what ifs and people doing a lot of guessing. I still can look at the individual charts of each sector and try to make some ideas about which way I think they're going to go. But I do keep it more higher level and just play the overall index for the most part.
Nice. No, nothing wrong there. The final question I had, at least until now, and then we'll get to some other ones here. There's some good questions coming through that we'll get to. Is this one, the market outlook? At the end of the year, I do this every year on my show. I was way off this year. I was way off this year. I thought we were actually going to have a slightly down year. Is where do you think the S&P 500 will close at the end of 2024? I know it doesn't mean a damn thing to you because you're like, who cares? It's so far away. But, we all like to take guesses and a gamble, if you will, at it. And by the way, you could. I know this is the highlight of your day. You could win 2 TraderMerlin shot glasses if you get this right, Brandon. I mean, that's big stuff here.
So I can put my La Croix drinkers in it.
Shots of La Croix. Perfect.
Yeah. Let's see. We're right now at 47.87. I'd say the S&P is actually probably going to finish the year higher.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. Yeah. I didn't expect this to be this high this year. I didn't think 2023 was going to be so bullish. But looking at the overall shape of the market right now, I think that this was our correction, possibly 2022, and we're starting off a new bullish run that I think we could end around 5,400.
50. I'm putting you down on the list for 5,400.
Yep.
You sure that's your number? Yeah. You're going on right now.
Right there. What am I going to lose if I'm wrong, right?
Exactly. No, it's bragging rights if you get it right. It's like a Sidon trade. It's like a Sidon thing. You just say a number, and if it hits, you just point and go, see, I'm the greatest thing on the planet. And if it doesn't hit, you don't say a word about it to anybody and just hope it goes away and nobody recognizes it. That's the Sidon. If you guys ever want to pull a Sidon, that's what a Sidon is, just in case you want to know. I'm going to pull a whole bunch of Sidons this year and just pick numbers out of the hat. And if they hit, I'm going to go, see, I'm so amazing. No, it's just more for fun. I like to do it every year because
I just pulled that number out.
There you go. You just randomly guess. So, is there anything technical? So you've got the S&P up there, and I'm. By the way, I'm going to do this off the SPX at the end of the year. It won't be on the futures because that number is slightly off. So I do the SPX as the final number.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The SPX. I actually had. Well, the SPX. I've got my chart marked up way too much because this is what I was playing today. I actually sold options here at 47.50 on the. I did a bear call spread, and we actually bounced off of my 2 zones. This is on a 5-minute chart or 15 minutes. Sorry. Remember I said I do play the SPX every day. I do option spreads on that where I sell either iron condors or I sell, debit spreads or not debit. I'm sorry, sell vertical spreads, credit spreads. So I did bear call spreads and it paid off pretty well. But going big picture here, yeah, obviously I'd have to adjust the number a little bit.
Well, I know you're a fib guy. You love fibs. I know you were. You there was a period where you were really big on fib. Holy cow! Look at that! Look at that jumbled mess.
Well, yeah. Well,
you're looking like Scott McCormick there.
These are my zones from 5 minutes and 15-minute levels going way back to, they're good zones until they're not used anymore.
Yeah,
And then I was
you're
using
right.
this for a little bit of
All
education.
I can say for our viewers out at home is, honestly, from October 15th on, I can't even see where the price chart is. So, come on, Brandon. That 5-minute level that goes back to November is probably not good anymore. You know, one thing I like to do, Brandon, every year.
That's the funny thing. Look at where it bounced. Look at where it bounced right here. That was a bounce off of an October. That was a zone that I picked way back here in May. So I do believe these zones still work.
They do.
You know, but obviously once they've been used, I got to take them off the board.
I just like giving you a hard time. It's, you know, it's funny.
Anyway,
I got a couple weird little things that I do. One I'll talk to about trading, and the other one is just personal life. So one thing I like to do, which I haven't done yet, I plan on doing it this evening, is I go through my closet, and you take every article of clothing that's on a hanger, 100% of it, all of it, and you turn the hangers around backwards so that you have to really work to get the hanger out. And that way you find out at the end of the year what you've worn for a year and what you haven't touched in a year. If you haven't worn it a year, you take those hangers, you give it to the Goodwill or some charitable organization, and you walk away from it. Now, the other thing I like to do is I usually erase all my lines January 1st on all my charts. And I can see you do the same thing. I mark up stuff, and you've got some fib retracements that going back in, you know, different years. I delete 100% and I start from scratch every year just to kind of get my mind challenged to find the new levels or find the old levels and move forward from there. So anyway, my weird little thoughts for the year.
I can't do that with this one because if you go back too far, you actually lose the data on the intraday chart. So I actually would not be able to find those zones. So when we started dropping to all-time lows for a while, I had to rely on my old drawings. See right here, I'm going back on a 15-minute chart.
Yeah.
And it'll actually cap out at some point, but my lines are still there because I drew them from way, way back. So there's that level I was telling you about October, that there's a 15-minute zone that actually hit. And I label when I found them, even what time of day I found them. And I keep them until they're either used or they expire. So look, like right here, the data is not there. Oh no, this one still is. Some of the data disappears after a while. So that's why I got to keep the lines there and not erase them.
Yeah, weird.
But yeah, I guess I could go back and kind of test. Yeah,
you're on the SPX. So how'd you get to that 5,400 point? You know, if you're looking at that number, you know, usually you're a pretty methodical person and you're very calculated in it. But it sounded like that was kind of I'll go 5,400.
I was just kind of looking at the overall shape and everything, and yeah, that was kind of a guess type thing. I think it's about 5,200 on the index itself, so right up around here. But yeah, if I wanted to be a little more calculated on it, I probably could.
No worries. Again, this is high stakes. This is 2 TraderMerlin shot glasses.
That's for the shot glasses. Yeah.
And thank you, Michael Gahn, for sending me all those. He sent me a whole box of them. It was really awesome.
That's awesome.
All right.
So, what do we got here?
Yeah.
It's still about 5,400 here for the extension.
Yeah, 1.6.
If we do that bigger extension.
All right. Yeah. I'll let you stay. I was just I like to give everybody a chance to back out and second guess themselves. But 5,400 was your first call. I've got you on the list right now. I will open the.
I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, you stick with it. A couple questions that came through. Which I want to get to this one. Boy, you guys are chatting pretty good here today. Where did it go? Robert says, "Can the markets predict who will be elected?" I'm just curious what your take on that one is.
I'm sorry, I lost the part of the question there. Let me. Can the markets predict what?
Can the markets predict who's going to get elected?
I don't think so. No, the reaction is usually after. I don't necessarily think that they really predict who's going to be elected. I know there's usually on the election year, it's typically a bullish year going into the election because they try to window dress to make the party in power look better. But I mean, I don't think that this Federal Reserve really cares. Ever since, Greenspan played ball too much. Bernanke kind of did, but for the most part, I don't think the markets really predict who gets elected. I think it's more of a reaction. The same thing with the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
the Super Bowl. I think it was if the NFC wins, the markets are bullish. If AFC wins, it's bearish or something like that. There used to be people.
Well, the Niners are going to win this year, so that makes sense. It's going to be a bullish year.
Well, I know my Eagles don't look so good.
Hey, you know what? It's funny. Ever since the Niners trounced your Eagles in Philadelphia, you haven't won since.
I know. I knew you were gonna bring that up. I had a feeling.
You knew it. Of course. I got to do that. Oh, sorry, I couldn't resist. All right, well, tell me what's going on. I have your email on the screen was BrandonWendell.com, not email, but the website was BrandonWendell.com. You guys can go to his website over there. It looks something like this. He's got a little profile on him. You can see his Trader's Journal, which is like from 1972. Look at that little baby face. Look at this. Your beard was just starting.
Website a little bit.
Get some new magazine covers, but he's got all kinds of information on programs and courses. He's always got a million different things going on. So is there anything you want to share with my audience about what you're up to?
Well, yeah, you can email me too at brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.com. That's the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Hold on, say it again real quick so I'm actually going to type it onto your screen. It's, what is it?
Yeah, brandonwendell.cmt@gmail.
Okay. I do these things live. It's tough sometimes. At gmail.com. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And so now you guys all have his email on the screen there. Perfect. Done.
Cool.
All right.
I'm contracting for TradeStation, so I'm doing a lot of work behind the scenes. They're launching new educational programs and stuff like that. So I've been writing a lot of the material for their new educational program, which is kind of cool. My voice, not my face, but my voice will be on some of the videos you'll see for the education. I got a great face for radio, so
yeah, you do.
I've been really busy, obviously, with my E-mini think tank. We just finished out the year. E-mini think tank, my wealth with spreads, my spread trading program. Actually, my E-mini think tank, we did a record year. We ended up, win rate was only 62%, but the total wins was about over $200,000.
Ooh, nice.
Based on a $25,000 account. So that was a pretty good rate of return. In the spreads, what was that yearly? It didn't make as much. It was about $155,000 for the return, but it was a rate of return of about 623%.
Yeah, kicked my ass, that's for sure.
Did pretty well there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, I still have 16 trades that are pending, 5 open and 11 pending. So that's from December. They're carrying over. We haven't closed those yet. Right. So still doing really well.
Nice. Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Fun doing that one. Anything else that any 2024 thoughts you want to share before we wrap up here?
No, just I hope the volatility continues to be very, very high. And I think that we will. I mean, you just got to be careful. You got to make sure your position size properly for your account, because there are going to be a lot of announcements going on, either from Ukraine, from Israel, from the elections here in the United States. There's going to be a lot of flashes of news that are going to cause a lot of turmoil. So you really got to be somewhat defensive this year. There's definitely opportunity, as we said, with the volatility means big movements, but you got to know what you're doing and make sure that if you're not quite sure what to do, that you find somebody that can help guide you through it, who's been through that kind of stuff before. I mean, anybody who's been trading like you and I through multiple elections, through multiple market crashes, we've seen it, done it, got the t-shirts and the scars, and we're more than happy to help with people to kind of wade through that and figure out what's going on, so they can benefit from it even. Yeah,
at least at a minimum protect themselves. One last question here from Tom. He says, will the impact of the reckless Fed printing ever come home to the market? The market should be down if it was in line with real world, but it's all-time highs. And he's right. It's like,
I don't believe that. Yeah, it's insane.
It's crazy. So do you think it's going to come and impact the market at some point, or is this going to be that soft landing that Powell keeps talking about?
I don't think we're getting the soft landing. I think it is going to come back sometime. I mean, you can't, never in the history of the world has there been that much printing that hasn't come back to bite it in the end. I mean, there's so much dollars out there that he's right. The market should not be where it is right now. The money shouldn't be where it is right now. It's just absolutely asinine. And if the world wakes up, I mean, there's already been shifts from different countries to kind of veer away from the US dollar. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the value of it plummet based on all that printing at some point, when people finally come to realize what's happening.
Yeah, it's tough, because if I look at all the stuff that you learn in basic economics, it tells you that the doo-doo is going to hit the fan. I mean, that it's going to come home and just smack us in the teeth and be a bad thing. And it hasn't quite. Yeah, we saw the inflation surge, but now all of a sudden, hey, it's under control. I still question that, but
yeah. Well, I used to call it the Ben Bernanke diet, where you run around naked and don't eat anything, because you can't put gas in your car, you can't wear clothing, you can't buy food, because that's inflationary. But if you ignore all that, run around naked and starve yourself, then there's no inflation.
I'll keep that visual in my head for a while, but I'm going to try to erase that one.
Anyway, I think it's going to be 2025 when it finally comes back to hit us. I don't think it's this year. I think it's next year that things are going to kind of hit the fan. I think there's going to be enough propping and window dressing with the election year that it's not going to hit until next year, as far as the reality of what we've done to this economy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. And again, it's just an opinion. I mean, none of us really know, and I have to say, it sounds kind of cold, but I don't really care. It's just I feel like it's going to hit, and hopefully when it does, I'll be shorting and building a big short position on that down move. But the short positions are the ones that cost me the most money in 2023. We'll see. The longs did really good for me this year, but short stuff was brutal. All right, Brandon. Well, thanks for coming on the program. We'll get you back on here again soon, and we'll do a speed test on your internet before we get you on next time. Yeah, but I appreciate you coming.
It's doing really well now that we're ending. But.
It is doing good. Yeah, y'all streamed it. You know what? It's the bandwidth in that apartment or wherever you're at is it's just got drained down. It's that 5 o'clock window. They say it's like really in demand right around 5 o'clock over there. So.
Yeah, I'll be moving probably in about 7 months anyway, so I'll be in a different area.
Nice. Still staying in Florida?
No, actually might be moving north to Virginia on a 400-acre farm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit of land.
You going to grow weed?
No.
Hemp.
Maybe, I don't know. We could do whatever we want. But.
Nice. Wow. I think I've seen pictures of that place. It looked pretty dang nice.
Yeah, we have to come visit.
Absolutely. All right, man. Well, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck to you in 2024, but we'll talk to you many times over the course of this year. So good luck to you, and thanks for all your input. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Merlin.
All right. Take care. Guys, that was Brandon Wendell. You can go to his website, which is right here, and it's brandonwendell.com. I posted his email on his Defiant, or underneath his lower third, so you can check that one out there as well. And now I'm going to change pace here a little bit. Let me get my earplugs out. And I'm going to now shift this over to everybody here. Obviously, forecasts are just expectations and assumptions that you're making about what's going to happen going forward. As Robert asked, can the markets predict the winner of the election? I don't believe that they can predict. I think they anticipate. But remember, anticipating it doesn't always work. I'll always go back to the 2016 election, and I think it was 84% chance. That's what CNBC and Fox and all these stations were pushing, that Hillary was going to win, 80+%, and lo and behold, President Trump won. So you just never know. I think the markets do their best to try to anticipate. And later on in the year, I'll probably do it mid-year, maybe around July or August. I'll break down kind of who the front-running candidates are, what their platforms and initiatives are. What are they hanging their hat on to get the voters to vote for them? Because typically when you're running for office, you're trying to find a way to get someone to vote for you. They'll come up with their whole list of, this is what I'm going to do, infrastructure or fossil fuels or you name it. And those industries tend to perform well, at least from a stock perspective, leading up into the election in anticipation of specific candidates winning. So I'll come up with a portfolio perspective on those later on in the year. We won't do it now. But for now, what I want you guys to do is you can do it one of two ways. The easiest way would be just to type it into chat. I will go back through the video later and I will write all of them down. And it's going to go off your screen name here, although Big Eb says 5150 for Big Eb for 2024. I like it. Van Hagar, yep. Legally Insane is 5150. So what I want you guys to do is type into chat what you think that S&P 500 is going to be on the SPX, just so we know that which market I'm going to pull it from. And here it is now. This is your SPX on a yearly basis. I'll go here to a daily basis. This is what we're dealing with right now. And what we're asking, or what I'm asking, not we, the royal we, is I am going to put a vertical line, and you have to anticipate, based off whatever factors you believe in and think and know and have analyzed, where we will be by the time we get to that vertical red line on the right-hand side of your screen. Would be great if I could do this. I wish there was a way I could have one specific chart that was just that never had to be repeated. Meaning, I would put every one of your lines on the screen. That would be kind of fun to do. But I will tell you mine. Mine's pretty easy, but actually, no, I'm going to do that on the next couple days. Like, give me a couple days. I know mine. It's already written down. I know exactly what my number is. Actually, I think you saw it on my screen here as I put it in the spreadsheet. But write down what you guys expect the number to be for the end of 2024. And again, it's just a guess. Some people were actually putting descriptions like, here's why. That's fine as well. If you want to think about it, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com and send it in that way. That's an easy way to get them into me. And I will put those all on the list. If you put multiples in there, I will put a little question mark by you and then ask, because you can't have multiple entries. It's a one-time deal for which number you'll have. And what we'll do is on the December 31st show, which actually won't be the December 31st, it will probably be, unless I'm out of the country, which may happen, that last show of the year will be on Tuesday, December 31st. Unless I decided I'm on vacation or something, then I'll have to wrap it up another time. But there you go. Get your numbers in. I will send you guys some TraderMerlin shot glasses. And for right now, if anybody knows or is in contact with Alex Nader, Nader won, but there was no email or anything for me to get in touch with Alex Nader. So if you know Alex, he's a part of your group, you guys have an email for him, email him and tell him to email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, because he won the 2023 forecasting one, and I will get those shot glasses out to him and a nice little thank you note. So anyway, let's go into what started out. What time we got? Oh, 47. I got too much to do here. It's trivia night. I got to host a nice 6 rounds of trivia tonight here in Southern California. Should be a fun one. I'll start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. It recovered off the lows pretty good, even though it was a really ugly down day. And I have this line on that NASDAQ 100 where I was actually thinking of shorting. I was just too busy today to really make any trades. I love where this is headed. We broke those lows. It looks to me like this does want to continue on down. Apple was the one leading the charge. NASDAQ down 1.78% on the day. But Apple, I'll bring up Apple just so you guys can see. This is the big piece that was really pushing it down. Apple was down 3.58%. It's down a little bit more in the after-hour session, but getting crushed there. Downgrades are coming, of course. Good. Probably does need to be downgraded. Anyway, that was your NASDAQ. From a technical perspective, I don't see anything really here of interest. If it does continue to drift lower, you've got a couple different targets on this one. The first one's going to be down in that yellow box, which is between 15,900 and 15,720 would be the range of that box for the target there. Crude oil down 1.77% today, continuing. I wanted it to rally. I want the inflation number to tick back up. But no, we've had 4 consecutive down sessions for crude oil, down 1.77% today. Well, looks like we're going to come back and challenge those lows yet again, which would be good for the markets overall. Russell 2000 down 0.72%. Nothing really interesting here on the pullback, except we're coming back down towards this area, which the top of that demand zone is right around 2008. So keep your eyes on that one as a potential bounce point. If it does get below 1995, right? If the Russell gets below 1995, then I definitely will be targeting it to close this gap, which goes all the way back to 1886. Oh yeah, could be a sharp drop there for the Russell. And I think Brandon is right. If the NASDAQ does start to roll over and continue to slide, the Russell is going to have a bigger percentage decline, more likely than not. All right, S&P 500 was your 5th place finisher, down 0.68%. Technically, it's still looking pretty strong. Hasn't broken any of these short-term or intermediate-term lows, so it hasn't really hit any swing lows. Still looking good for the S&P. Let me get that one out of there. We've got gold up 0.08%. We'll call it unchanged, even though it had a lot of volatility, not a lot of overall action going on with that gold chart. Still kicking myself that I didn't get to buy gold back here at that demand zone right at 1987. It got so dang close and just didn't jump into it. Here's your 10-year. So while the 10-year had a nice big rally today, we're opening up green in the current session. Now, obviously, look at the long topping tail on that 10-year. There was a lot of interest in bonds today. I mean, the short-term yields surged real quick as well, which is not good for the yield curve perspective. Maybe good for some of you who are buying the short-dated bonds and treasuries. But all in all, a 0.15% move right now. But for the first day of the trading year, that 10-year jumped to the tune of about 1.78% on the day. All right. That was your bronze. Silver metals, the dollar index, 0.83%. You wonder why markets got crushed today? Look no further than that Dixie dollar index was up 0.83%, which doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, that is such a monumental, powerful force That's kind of what pushed our markets down today. And finally, Bitcoin. It's been a great couple of days, great weekend for Bitcoin. We did break through that 45,000 mark. We did break through that 46,000 mark. You can see their intraday high on the futures was all the way up to 47,095. If we go to the real market, which is the spot market for Bitcoin, you can see that our high for spot was 45,922. So we just got pretty much to just close to 46,000 on Bitcoin. We still have not had the spot Bitcoin ETF approved. That was a side zone on gold. Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, that's true. Although I would have taken the trade if it hit there. That one I actually had an order in on, so it was on GLD, but it didn't get me. And that's it. That's it for our top markets. If you ask me those questions, which maybe I'll get to on tomorrow's show, I'll leak my answers to some of these questions over the next couple days. Hey, good to see you, Michael. You made it live right as I'm about to wrap up the show. I will tell you more about the crypto stuff. I have a couple of great questions. One of you has asked me to do a show on altcoins, like what are these other crypto projects outside of Bitcoin. Someone was also asking me about the halving cycle, which I'd like to do a show on that. But just let me give me a couple of weeks, because what I plan on doing, at least for this week and hopefully all of next week as well, is I want to have a different trader on each day. And I want to ask them these same questions and see what the consensus is, what the differentiating opinions are. Tomorrow's going to be Scott McCormick on the program, which I'm really excited about. Scott's one of my favorite analytical people. He knows so much about these markets, and hopefully, by the end of next week, you'll have a much greater perspective. And I think that's, in my opinion, way better than a CNBC perspective, because most of those guys are being swayed by someone's portfolio. They're generally overly bullish just because they have to be, because they work for a firm. So most of my guests are traders, so their incentive is their accounts, right? They're going to come up with an idea where they think the market's going to go. Any New Year's resolution for your book? No, I have to get it done this year. I'm embarrassed that it's not been done. I'm getting spread apart, Pepe, by two books. I have one fiction and one nonfiction. The one that I just am super, super excited about is my fiction book. Love it. It's just such an awesome, I love the story, and I wish I had more time and a team to help me with creative ideas, but my fiction book is fantastic. But I got to get the nonfiction stuff done. So yes, I will get that done. But as far as me doing things, I'm like most people. I go right back to fitness, and I tapered off from about October of last year on. I was really, really bad, in my opinion, with regards to my exercising. My dietary habits were really just bad near the end of the year. So I am doing this one. This may not seem like a lot, but I call them power burpees, which is a regular burpee, but you add a push-up and you have to jump as high as you can on each jump. So they're very tough. I already did my 30 burpees today, but I'll be doing 30 burpees every day for the month of January. And I might add a couple more things. And I saw some of you email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. If you'd like to put your name on this list for something, do it. It's you're the one who has to hold yourself accountable. But I think, when you mention it and you tell me and I write it down on this list, it'll hold you more accountable, especially every now and again. I'm going to show you this graphic and be like, hey, guys, here's what you said you're going to do. Are you still doing it? At least it helps me stay with the program, because if I don't have anybody holding my hand or pushing me and saying, hey, you said you were going to do this, I tend to fall backwards and not get stuff done. So the burpee challenges for me, I'm also doing a bunch of other personal fitness stuff. So I'll be going to the gym 3 days a week and doing these burpees on top of that. So I should see some nice results. I will not be showing you the before and after pictures. Not that. Lisa says I did those types of burpees last year. They're tough. They don't seem like you're like 30. You're like, Merlin, come on, that's no big deal. You try doing 30 of these bad boys, especially in one run. Like I can do 15 and I'm all of a sudden I'm gassed. Ask you guys how many rate cuts we will have in 2024. Interesting. That's really interesting, Margaret, because you know what? Most of my guests don't care. I'm willing to bet you Scott McCormick's going to go, I don't care. I will ask. I'll add that to the list. We'll add that one to it. Is ChatGPT writing your writing team? No, I'm not using ChatGPT for my book. I am not. I have used it a little bit to help me with articles, but no. I take pride in the fact that it's my style, it's my cynicism, it's my bitterness, it's my way of perceiving these markets, and some people don't like it. That's fine. You don't have to read them or watch the videos. I am who I am, as Popeye would say, and I'm going to continue to be that person. So if you have something you want to add to that list, email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com. Get your forecast in for the S&P. Type it in the chat. I'll leave the room open. I'll do new army push-ups, hand release push-ups. What's that, Pepe? Where you have to is that where you clap your hands in the push-up when you push up? Those are tough. I'm already hurting. I'm sore today, and I just started yesterday. So it's been brutal. Email me your forecast or type in the chat. I will go back through tonight, and tomorrow when I do the show at the end after Scott McCormick is off the air, I'll run through this list and show you everybody's numbers here. If there's any discrepancies, let me know, and we'll go from there. Are we doing this year? Are we doing this year of TraderMerlin convention? Yeah. I wish. If I had millions of dollars, I would say let's all go somewhere and have a convention. But nah. And I mean, look, most of the time when people have a convention or a big meetup, it's because they're trying to sell a product or service and they need to make money off of it. And you guys don't see me selling a product or soliciting anything. So, okay, that's gonna do it for me, everybody. I gotta go and take the dogs to the dog park. I gotta wrap up some stuff. I haven't locked in a Zoom session. The idea has been interesting to me. I think that would be kind of fun. Done abusing my body. Did that plenty when I was younger. Yeah. Hey, but Lisa, doing burpees is not abusing. That's getting that body in shape, right? Especially burpees. If you guys don't know what a burpee is, let me know. I'll send you a video that's an awesome video on burpees. But it's one of those full body exercises, and all of a sudden you're like, I didn't even know I had this muscle. Why is this one sore? That's the beauty of it. All right, anybody, thank you very much. I hope you guys all. Am I doing any money shows in 2024? Let me ask. I was approached by the Traders Expo to do some sessions in Vegas, but it had to go through Trading Academy, and I've heard nothing there. So who knows if that's going to happen. Mexico cruise would be fun, but again, now you're kind of alienating everybody that lives outside of California. It doesn't kill you, makes you stronger. Yep, exactly. Do them push-ups. There you go. All right. I got 2 minutes left. Not going to happen, Big Eb. Not going to happen, Sly. No hour show today. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Hope you enjoyed it with Brandon Wendell. Tomorrow I got Scott McCormick. Again, David Warner will be on Thursday. Larry Jacobson on Friday. And I'm going to work on a whole nother list of different instructors for next week. Again, if you want to be added to the challenge, send it in either in the chat or to TraderMerlin@gmail.com and put your S&P forecast in there as well. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.